Hey, Reef DVM's coming at you with I'm winterizing the Honda, 200 on the back of the pontoon. You know, I'm just a farmer. I'm not a mechanic, but you got to be able to do these things. So I'm going to take my best shot at it again this year. Shout out to me if I miss something major. Let me know. I popped the little hinges, got the cover off this thing, put the motor all the way down to get it in position so I could level it and get the oil changed and so forth. Order operations is kind of based on the manual for me. So, you flip to the manual and there's actually a section on maintenance, but there's also a section on storage. And I kind of go between them because I think they both have good things. The maintenance has the diagram where you do all the greasing. Storage is really about, getting the water out of the engine and cleaning any crap that you have in it from fresh or salt water and, getting your gas out of your line versus maintenance is more the oil changes and so forth. I found the manual to be pretty helpful, kind of a list of sizes of nuts and bolts, and certainly it gives you the torque specs. You don't want to over torque something. A lot of these engines have, more plastic housings on them, and then, them themselves and the engines have more aluminum, and, you start cranking on that stuff, oil plugs and stuff, which are steel going into those, you really can start wrecking things. So, I guess I'd say follow the manual. Certainly you're welcome to see how I did it, but no, if I didn't do something quite the way I should have, guys, let me know. It's kind of a process for me. So the first thing I do is I like to find the water area here. There's a little hookup that water comes up through from when it's pulling from the lake, and I like to flush that out. There's a little spigot here that you can see, and that drains into this hose, and then that hose drains down into the lower unit. So I hook a garden hose up to that, and I just basically flush it for like 10 minutes. I'm not 100% sure on the time frame, but again, I just want to get any crap out of it. Now, this motor sits in fresh water, which is nice, so it's at least not in salt water. But you still got lake algae and weeds and who knows what. So I put it on and I crank it and I start getting water to come out everywhere that I can get it to come out. Now remember, this puts water in the lower unit in the engine again area. So make sure when you're done, you put your motor at a low angle and try to drain all that water out. I know I've seen people online who take an air compressor and hook up to that and blow the air out too, and that's certainly doable. I don't really have an air compressor right handy, so I'm not going to do it. The fuel tank and the gas, there's only about half a tank in here, and it's the non-oxy, but I still don't trust it over winter, so I'm going to put the seafoam in it. You can use seafoam marine, but my boat dealer said that to use the truck and SUV because this is the Honda engine on here that's basically a Honda Accord tipped on its side. So since it's exactly a Honda Accord engine, that's what I'm going to use. You can get fuel filters from your local marine dealer. That's probably the best. You can get your oil filter from them and you get your oil. But my marine dealer tells me that, literally the oil filter is the same as a Honda Accord, so probably could buy it, elsewhere too. As far as the spark plugs go, I'm not at a point where I need to change them yet hour-wise, but I do like to fog out the engine for me. I like to check the gap and how the spark plugs look. So I take these out. It's not the hardest. It's like one bolt and kind of a long um, like plastic insert that goes in here. And then once you get it out, you need a long ratchet on your spark plug end to reach that in there. Then you can see the spark plug. You can take it out, check its gap, make sure it looks clean. Its head's not, doing anything stupid or anything on it. And then you can, if you like, fog the engine. Now, you can fog an engine or you can, oil a cylinder head. I guess I don't know which is preferred in the marine industry. This spark plug looks really good. I don't have any issue with this. Again, I don't know which one people prefer, fog an engine or put oil into a cylinder head. But for me, I've got to reach about 6 to 8 inches in. So I use one of these little 1/4 inch pieces of plastic pipe. I've seen this done in other auto mechanic videos for cars. So I take it and then I hook my fogging spray right up to it, put the nozzle in it, just kind of pinch it down, and I blast in until it's full and coming back down coming back out the pipe on me finally. And I'm using a pretty heavy kind of foaming fogging spray. I've liked that in the past. It seems to really get in there. Now, granted, when I start this back up in the spring, this thing's gonna blow some blue smoke for like 30 seconds, and that's kind of part of the process. When you put your spark plugs back in, make sure you torque them to spec. I did. And then, I drain the gas out of this little unit here. It's part of the directions. There's a little screw down there. When you open that up, the fuel and the engine side of this will run out of the motor. I find it kind of a pain to get a screwdriver down in here. Obviously, Honda didn't put this in the nicest spot. But I drain the fuel out of this part of the line. I've never had any issues with the fuel in the line in the last couple summers, but again, I drain it out to be safe anyways. I would say the engine probably holds maybe a cup to 2 cups in this little section of the motor. So I drain it out. When you restart it in the spring, just turn the key on and give the pump a little bit of time to fill that line back up before turning your engine over, and you'll have an easier start for your startup. Make sure you put this little hose back in the right place. It's kind of got like a air bubble side to it there, which goes up to keep water from going up in it. And then you got to reach in here, of course, and remember to shut that screw again. Otherwise, when you start it up in the spring, you're going to put fuel all over. Getting oil in it, it's not real tough. Big yellow cap there. Getting the oil out of it, and that's not real tough either. I wish it wouldn't always make such a mess along the side of the motor, but that's kind of the way these things go. Again, I just take out the oil plug with a small ratchet. But when you put it back in, make sure you use the torque specs, because it feels like you should torque it a lot more, but it really doesn't need to be torqued a lot more. Draining the oil out of it there, and then once the oil's drained out, I need to take the oil filter off. And I have the engine kind of tipped at a downward angle, so that makes it easier. Just put the oil plug back in here and torque it down. Then I'll change the oil filter, and we'll put new oil in it. As far as the engine oil and the oil filter, again, this is a Honda Accord. So you can literally buy a Honda Accord oil filter and screw that sucker on. And I hand thread mine on. I don't know, people do have wrenches, but I use a wrench to take the old one off, and then I hand tighten the new one on. 10W30 is what my dealer recommends, so I put the marine in. You probably could use regular Honda oil, but for me it's just as easy because it takes 2 of these big things plus a quart, so it's a lot easier just to get the big ones from them and dump them in. Let me get this poured in here. I've gotten to the point now where, again, I know what it takes, so I don't have to watch the dipstick till the end. It literally takes 2 of these containers and a quart. The lower unit takes 2 quarts almost, so I always have a little bit of gear lube left for the lower unit. That to me isn't a problem. I tend to use that up around the farm on some of the wear points. As far as the lower unit goes, you've got a screw at the bottom to drain it. Take that out first, then take your top screw out, and it drains out. It's August here, so it's pretty warm out, so it drains pretty easy. Then I just take the Honda gear case oil and pump it in until it comes out that little hole in the top. When it comes out the hole in the top, I put the plug in the top, and then I take off my bottom. It's not the hardest job in the world, folks. Again, maybe I'm missing something here, but to me, this engine isn't the hardest to winterize. I think for me, the biggest thing is just making sure there's no water left in the lower unit, getting the 2 oils changed, And looking at the manual to make sure I don't miss any of these darn grease zerks. On this engine, there's actually quite a few on the steering adjustment up front. There's two on that. On the tilt, there's one on the right and the left. Then on the little arm that comes down to hold the engine up if you were in travel mode, there's one on that. There's a couple grease zerks up by the front jack that you want to get. So it's just kind of going around and getting in those and getting them done. So obviously once the oil comes out the top up here, you put that threaded screw back in. Again, get it snug, but don't crank the crap out of it. And then once you have that done, your lower unit oil is done. And you just go around and start, greasing things up. Some of the grease zerks are a little tricky for me to get into. I got to kind of turn the motor and move things. And I like to wipe the excess grease off the zerks. It's just the farmer in me. Everything otherwise gets dust on it and collects crap. So I grease up all these points, and it really seems to work well. As far as knowing the location on your motor, again, I'd highly recommend that you check your manual, because again, I can't tell you that they're all the same on yours versus mine and so forth. The last thing I typically do, and I don't have good video of it, is I go up in the boat, and I put out a video a year back or so, I certainly can, reference that. But, go put a battery tender on your battery and switch the batteries to off as far as, anything that can use them in the boat. So in this situation, I did put that on too. And for me, I have a tender for each battery, which is kind of nice. I have two batteries in this pontoon. One is a main battery, and then one is a backup battery. And I have a switch that I can use it that way on, or I can switch them to dual. And I can switch them to off. So right now they're in the off mode. I'm going to clean up the cover, get, any water stains off it, and just, make it look as pretty as I can before I put it into storage and gets dusty. We cleaned up the floor and stuff on the pontoon, and we're basically ready to put it away. That's how we on the farm winterize the Honda motor. Please like and subscribe and show support for our farm channel, folks, and we'll keep putting out great videos like this.